Morning everyone, and welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV. We're located in Frederick, Colorado. My name is Larry Vickers. I'm very excited to show you the M2 hauler that we're going to take a look at today. But before we get started, I want to do a couple of things. Well, why buy a Freightliner M2 compared to a pickup truck? Pickup trucks are less expensive, they can tow a lot. So let's get into that. If you're comparing this to a brand new pickup truck, one advantage is, especially today, this truck is here. It's ready to go. Compare that to a brand new pickup truck that you're going to have to order and hope 6 to 8 months from right now that it actually shows up. So that's one advantage. Second, and perhaps more importantly, is the huge safety advantage for a Freightliner over a pickup. And we're going to get more in depth with that today as we go along, but safety is the number 2 reason to purchase this over a pickup. Third is practicality. Even though the original investment of a Freightliner might be a little bit more, well, let's compare that to a pickup truck. A brand new one, it's not uncommon to see bring $100,000. Well, you're going to go through 3 or 4 of those pickups at the same time you purchase a Freightliner, and that's going to longevity of that is going to be equivalent to 3 or 4 pickups down the road. So when you combine all of those things, it's a better, more intelligent purchase for a Freightliner M2 than a pickup truck. Okay, so let's take a look at this one today. This is a 2019 Freightliner M2 112. This truck has just under 30,000 miles. The conversion is Western hauler. So let's take a look from the front. We see a huge grille. And once we pop the hood, I'll explain to you why that is so large. This engine requires a lot of air intake, is why the grille is so large. Another thing on this specific truck is there are no brights. When we have the headlights on, it is only dim. So once you set it to brights, this actually comes on instead. And as you can notice, that light bar is slightly pointed up. So the distance and vision you will be able to see is substantial. Furthermore, we have the fog lights located right here. Let's take a look under the hood. That is the Detroit D13 engine. It offers 505 horsepower, 1,650 foot-pounds of torque. It is coupled with the Allison 4000 TRV transmission. So obviously an engine this large with that much mass is going to require that air intake. So in terms of towing ability, this truck is going to do pretty much whatever you need it to do, and with the Detroit backing it, it's going to do that for a long time. One thing that the Detroit engine offers, you have the capability to hook up to what's called virtual technician. So when you're in your travels, let's say the check engine light comes on, you can contact a Freightliner dealership and they can diagnose pretty close on the road what's going on. And it'll basically give you a couple of choices or tell you, you're fine, just get to a Freightliner dealership and we can check it out. Or in extreme conditions, say, yep, you need to pull over and we're sending somebody to get you. So that's one advantage that the Detroit has over other engines. When we take a look under here, we can see a couple of things. Right here is where we would put the washer fluid in, things of that nature. One nice thing about the truck is if we're underneath it, getting some work done, and a gust of wind comes out, that's going to stop. The only way to get that hood down is to manually force it down. The truck comes with Michelin tires. These are 255 70 R22.5. Now as we take a side view of the truck, we can see a couple of those safety things I talked about. One is simply the size and mass of the truck compared to a pickup. So if we are in an accident or something happens, the chances of walking away from this are substantially higher than a pickup. Another one is the height. Look how high it is off the ground. The reason that is an advantage is we're above traffic, so we can see things coming at us from the front as well as the sides. Another safety advantage is the brake system. This comes with air brakes. Okay, so let's compare that to a pickup with hydraulics. One advantage, if we get a leak in this, a slow leak, we can simply replenish it by the amount of air. Compare that to a hydraulic leak. That's going to eventually completely leak out until we go to hit the brakes and need them, and there's simply nothing there. So there's two safety advantages right there for this truck over a pickup. Let's take a look at the passenger seat. We have access to the cab air filters right under there. Right here is where we adjust the seat, and I wanted to show you. This truck is air ride. See how that goes up and down? So that's a huge comfort advantage there over a pickup truck, for example, because basically you're riding on air. It comes with two fuel tanks, one here, one on the other side. This is 70 gallons. The one on the other side is 110. So you have a combined fuel of 180. As we take a look at the back seat does make down into a bed. I'll show you where that switch is so we crawl inside. Again, look how much room is offered in this. It makes a 12, 13-hour drive basically feel like you ran to the grocery store and back. From down here, we can get a good shot of the DVD player. Okay, now let's take a look at the bed. This one's a little different from the standpoint. This is majority a flat bed. As you can see, it's all lined as well. The storage component on this side is also lined with a substantial amount of room. As you can see, the truck comes with a fifth wheel hitch. If we needed to convert that to a gooseneck trailer, that can be done. Simply give me a call and we can get all that set up for you. The GVWR on this truck is $33,000. As we walk on through, right here is where we hook up the lights. Furthermore, we can see that it does have a hitch for a bumper pull with the light hookups for that right there. Now, as we take a look as a side view from this side, under this front one is the batteries. I really like this setup because they're very easy to get to. They're not jammed under the back seat. They're right there and very easy to get to. There is this storage component. There's the DEF, the flares, fire extinguisher, things of that nature. Here is the other fuel tank we talked about. That's the 110-gallon one. Right up here is the DEF tank that holds up to 13 gallon. Recent data is showing about 325 miles for every 1 gallon of DEF. As we take a look inside, we see the side is the crocodile along with the top as well. So let's crawl on in and take a closer look. So when you go to start your truck, you're going to want to turn that key about halfway before you start it. Once we get into the colder months, even let it set a little bit longer before we go ahead and fire it up. So as we take a look from the top down, I mentioned that the back seat makes down into a bed. Right there is the switch for that. Okay, the light beside it is called the working lights. So that lights up the lights directly behind the cab. Beside that is the trailer lights. As we can see, it comes with a CB. As we come on down, right here is the backup camera located here. So why is that important to us? Well, it assists us in hooking up the trailer. A second advantage to that is a lot of my customers leave that on all the time, so you can see what's coming on beside you as well. Cruise control located right here. These are the mirror heaters. We're getting into that time of year. You start the truck, you hit the mirror heaters, all that's going to be melted and ready to go once you take off. Right here is for the windows, up and down. Fog lamps located here. I pointed those out when we were doing our walk around. Well, the reason those are important is basically what the name says. We get into a bunch of fog, we can hit those lights and help us as we go. Engine brake here. We talked about advantages. Why buy a hauler? Here's one of them. So we set that to high. Say we're in the Rocky Mountains right next door and we're coming down a sharp decline, as compared to a pickup truck that simply shuts the exhaust off. This is a true engine brake, so that will affect all 6 cylinders and help slowing you down. This particular truck, you actually have 500 horsepower coming back at you, so not only is that safer for you and your family, but the other drivers on the road as well. I mentioned that this truck comes with air brakes. Right here is basically the parking brake. Right now we're in neutral with that parking brake on. Now it does come with a couple of option buttons, as you can see here. What those are used for, if you want to hook up additional cameras, you can go on ahead and put those to this option button to turn and shut those off. Comes with an automatic transmission, R for reverse, N for neutral, and D for drive. One thing about this truck, and most haulers, if you push these 2 buttons at the same time, it'll basically tell you what your transmission fluid is doing as well. As we come on over, if we could take a shot directly in front, so this gives you a very good view of what you will see when you're sitting where I am. So I mentioned that we're up higher off the ground. Well, here proves that. See how we're higher than, for example, cars along the sides of us, things of that nature. Now when we take a look at the windshield, there's actually 2,500 square inches of glass right there. Yet another safety advantage is visibility, so we can really see what's going on around us. As we come on down and take a look at the dash, there's absolutely nothing here to be intimidated by. I realize a truck of this size may intimidate a few people. There's no reason to be. All the gauges are very self-explanatory. There's has 2 that monitors the air pressure level. The top one is the primary one, which focuses mainly on brakes. The second one does have brakes as well, but it monitors things like the air in the seats, the air in the cab, things of that nature. So that's what the 2 air pressure gauges are for, and the rest are self-explanatory. Oil pressure, water pressure, transmission temperature, all of that. Now right here is the air filter gauge, so you can kind of see how clogged that air filter is from right here. This is the dump valve, so that lets air out of the back of the truck. An example of when we use that, we used it this morning when we hooked the trailer up back under there with that down, and simply let the air back in. It raises up and basically hooks up the trailer for you. Down here is the trailer brake. We can adjust that in terms of how heavy of a trailer we may be towing, things of that nature. Again, a safety advantage there. Old school cigarette lighter located right there. And we come on down to kind of a basic climate control. These remotes are for the DVD player. As we take a look at the console, I really like Western Hauler's design. It's a little bit different than some, but right there is storage here, cup holders there. In addition, more storage right there. For example, right there are the headphones for the DVD player. If we take a look at the dash, this has what's called a wraparound dash to it. See how that just kind of wraps its way around? It's not flat. So when you're in your travels, it's easily accessible. Just reach over and we can do whatever we need to do right there without having to take our eyes off the road to search for it. This truck is stock number 5U211657. If you have any other questions about it, please feel free to give me a call. My cell phone number is 970-370-4067. The work extension 303-684-3404. Feel free to email me at larry.vickers@transwest.com. Thanks for tuning in today.